Dear students, today we are going to discuss about the parotid gland. What are the features of parotid gland? Parotid gland is a major salivary gland located in the retromandibular fossa. Okay, retromandibular fossa means it is a space between or space behind the mandible. See, this is what the mandible. See, here comes the mandible. So this gland which is located behind the mandible. Okay, or it is seen between the mandible and sternocleidomastoid muscle. See, this one is a sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, so that area it is known as retromandibular fossa. So gland is located in that fossa known as the retromandibular fossa. So it's the largest salivary gland situated in the retromandibular fossa. Where it is located, the retromandibular fossa. See, it is located below the external acoustic meatus between the ramus of mandible and sternocleidomastoid. Just now I showed you. See, here comes a mandible. Okay, and this area of the mandible it is known as the ramus of the mandible. Okay, posteriorly sternocleidomastoid and mastoid process. So anteriorly ramus of mandible. That's why between the ramus of mandible and sternocleidomastoid. Then see, here comes the external acoustic meatus. Okay, so almost below that. So this is what the location of the parotid gland. Roughly we can say it is located in the retromandibular fossa. Okay, so it is a largest salivary gland and located in the retromandibular fossa, exactly where below the external acoustic meatus between the ramus of mandible and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Now it's almost a inverted three-sided pyramid shaped structure. Inverted three-sided pyramid. Okay, so three-sided pyramid means it is having one apex, then three surfaces, not four. It is having three surfaces, including the base. It is having four surfaces. Okay, so what are the three surfaces? Superficial surface, andromedial surface, postromedial surface. Those are the three surfaces. If you are including the base as a surface, then it is having four surfaces. Okay, so superior or the base. Okay, so it is having one apex and one base, then three surfaces: superficial surface, andromedial surface, and a postromedial surface. See, this is what the base or superior surface. Okay, then this is apex. So base, apex. Now you can see the superficial surface. This surface, it is known as what? The superficial surface. Before that, we have to identify the borders also. See, so I told you it is having one apex, then base, then three surfaces: superficial surface, andromedial surface, and a postromedial surface. Now it is having three borders: anterior border, posterior border, and a medial border. What are they? See this one, this border. This is the anterior border, and this one is a posterior border. These two borders meet this apex, and here base. So base, then anterior border, posterior border, apex. So between the anterior border and the posterior border, there we are having one surface, this flat area. This is the superficial surface. So one surface is clear, the superficial surface. Okay. Now andromedial surface and the postromedial surface. In order to see the andromedial surface and the postromedial surface, I am going to take the transverse section or cross section of the gland. Transverse section means it divides the structure into upper half and lower half. Okay, so I am going to take the transverse section of the gland and the superior view. See, here in this image, this is the transverse section of the gland and the superior view. Now here in this image, this is the skin. Okay, now this will be the superficial surface. Superficial surface, and now here this is the anterior border, this is the posterior border. Okay, now this is the medial border. Now see the medial border. See, this one is a medial border, and this one, this is the andromedial surface, and this one is a postromedial surface. Okay, so see the surfaces now, superficial surface. So see here in this image, this is the superficial surface. We took this transverse section. Okay, so that is superficial surface, which is seen as a simple line. Okay, so anyway, this is a superficial surface here. This is a superficial surface here. Then this is an andromedial surface. Then postromedial surface. This postromedial surface is having two grooves. See, one is this The other one is this. Okay, we'll discuss those features later. So now you have to identify the surface and borders clearly. So having three surfaces: superficial surface, andromedial surface, posteromedial surface. And three borders: anterior border, posterior border, medial border. Okay, then one base and one apex. Base and apex. Here in this image, here comes a base, and this is a apex. So now external features are clear. It is a three-sided pyramid shaped structure, inverted pyramid. Okay, shaped structure with three surfaces, apex and a base. Apex, base, three surfaces and three borders. Okay. Now we'll see the relations. First, apex, which crosses the posterior belly of digastric and reaches the carotid triangle. See here in this image, previous image. See here we already have gone through the digastric triangle, and below that carotid triangle. See here comes the posterior belly. This is the anterior belly. See here we can see a part of the anterior belly of digastric. Anterior belly is connected to the mandible, then posterior belly is connected to the mastoid notch. So anyway, here comes the posterior belly of the digastric. So this apex which crosses the posterior belly of digastric and reaches this triangular shaped area, which is a carotid triangle. Okay, means it crosses the digastric triangle, then posterior belly of digastric, then it reaches the carotid triangle. That's all. So apex crosses the posterior belly of digastric and reaches the carotid triangle. Now we are going to see the base. Okay, base which is related to external acoustic meatus, temporomandibular joint, superficial temporal vessels, and auriculotemporal nerve. See, this is a base. The base is related to this external acoustic meatus node, and there we are having a joint. That joint it is known as temporomandibular joint. This mandible joins with the temporal bone. Okay, that joint is known as temporomandibular joint. That lies here at this level. Okay, so external acoustic meatus, then temporomandibular joint. Then here we can see some, one nerve. That one is a auriculotemporal nerve. And here in this diagram, see here we can see some vessels. These are the superficial temporal artery and the superficial temporal vein. So superficial, together we can call it as superficial temporal vessels. Okay, so superficial temporal vessels are there. Then external acoustic meatus, this canal, it is known as what? External acoustic meatus. So external acoustic meatus, superficial temporal vessels, then auriculotemporal nerve, then temporomandibular joint. These are the relations of this base. So apex which crosses the digastric muscle and reaches the carotid triangle. See here, carotid vessels are there. Okay, then base. Now, so base is clear. Okay, now we are going to see the surfaces, relations of the surfaces. See, superficial surface, it is related to skin, superficial fascia, then deep fascia or the parotid fascia, then parotid lymph nodes. See here in this image, we can see the skin. This is, I already told you this one is a superficial surface. Okay, so here, the outermost structure it is the skin. Then below that is the superficial fascia, then comes the deep fascia. Deep to the deep fascia, some lymph nodes are there, parotid lymph nodes. Okay, so everywhere it is arrangement. Okay, skin, superficial fascia, deep fascia. Here the deep fascia is having one peculiar name, parotid fascia. Okay. Now andromedial surface. Andromedial surface is related to masseter, then ramus of mandible, medial pterygoid muscle. Mainly this relation. See, this is the andromedial surface. It is related to, see, this is the ramus of the mandible. Here on the lateral surface of the ramus, there we can see a muscle known as the masseter muscle. On the medial side, medial pterygoid muscle. So it will be easy to study. Masseter, ramus of mandible, medial pterygoid muscle. Okay, so andromedial surface is related to those structures. Now we are going to see the posteromedial surface. See here we can see mainly two bones. One is a mastoid process, the other one is a styloid process. Okay, so styloid, I told you here it is having two grooves for these two bones. Okay, one is a styloid process of temporal bone, the other one is a mastoid process of the temporal bone. So not only to this process, it is also related to the muscles of those processes. See here, along with the styloid process, we can see some muscles like a styloglossus, stylopharyngeus, and stylohyoid muscle. What are the styloglossus? From the styloid process to the tongue, styloglossus, then styloid process to the pharynx, stylopharyngeus, and styloid process to the hyoid bone, stylohyoid. Then like that, this from the mastoid process, we are having two muscles. One is sternocleidomastoid from the sternum. From the sternum and clavicular, sternocleido, and inserted to this mastoid process. That's why it's known as sternocleidomastoid or sternomastoid. Okay, sternocleidomastoid. And this one is a digastric muscle, posterior belly of digastric. So this posteromedial surface, which is related to mastoid process and styloid process. Not only that, it's muscles. Okay, so surfaces are clear. Superficial surface, skin, superficial fascia, deep fascia, and parotid lymph nodes. Andromedial surface, ramus of mandible, masseter muscle, medial pterygoid muscle. Then posteromedial surface. So posteromedial surface is also clear. Mastoid process and the muscles of the mastoid process like a sternocleidomastoid and a posterior belly of digastric. And styloid process with its muscles like a styloglossus, stylohyoid, stylopharyngeus. Now, so surface are clear. Apex, base, and surface are clear. Now, relations of the borders. See anterior border. Anterior border which separates the superficial surface from the andromedial surface. We have to check if this is anterior border here in this cross section. This is anterior border. So it separates the superficial surface from the andromedial surface. Correct. Then posterior border like that, which separates the superficial surface from the posteromedial border. The medial border which separates the andromedial surface from the posteromedial surface. Okay, see it once again. Anterior border which separates the superficial surface from the andromedial surface. Posterior border which separates superficial surface from the posteromedial surface. The medial border which separates the andromedial surface from the posteromedial surface. Okay. Now, in addition to that, this anterior border is related to, or from the anterior border, we can see some structures like a parotid duct is arising from this anterior border, and terminal branches of the facial artery and transverse facial vessels. See here, this is the anterior border of this parotid gland. See, one duct is arising from this anterior border. It is known as the parotid duct. Okay. Then, in addition to that, here in this image, this is the anterior border, and here this is the parotid duct that is arising from this anterior border. See, here we can see the facial nerve. Inside the gland, one nerve is there. That is what the facial nerve. Here it gives 5 terminal branches. Okay, that 5 terminal branches comes out through this anterior border. Okay, so here we can see 5 terminal branches of this facial nerve. So some relations of this anterior border. Okay, the posterior border I already told you separates the superficial surface from the posteromedial surface. The medial border which separates the andromedial surface from the posteromedial surface. So apex, base, surfaces, and borders are clear. Now we are going to see the structures within the gland. I told you here I told you this nerve is seen inside the gland. In addition to this nerve, some other structures are seen inside the gland. What are they? So we are going to see what are the structures seen inside the gland. Some arteries are there, then some veins are there, then one nerve is also there. We have to see the details. First one, arteries. What are the arteries? See here we can see the external carotid artery and its some branches. Okay, what are the branches of the external carotid artery seen there? See maxillary artery, superficial temporal artery, and a posterior orbicular artery. See this image. See this one is the external carotid artery that is seen inside the parotid gland. Okay, so this one is a external carotid artery. Here it gives some major branches like this one, maxillary artery, this upward continuation superficial temporal artery, and this one posterior auricular artery. In addition to that, here one minor branch is there, that one is a transverse facial artery. It's minor branch. Actually, it's a branch of this superficial temporal. This is a superficial temporal artery. This superficial temporal artery gives a branch, that one is a transverse facial. Okay, so anyway, 3 major branches. So see, this is the external carotid artery. So external carotid artery, after entering inside the parotid gland, it gives 2 terminal branches like a maxillary and a superficial temporal. Okay, this is a maxillary artery, and this is a superficial temporal artery. The superficial temporal artery gives transverse facial artery, and here it gives this external carotid gives a posterior auricular artery. So these are the arteries seen inside the parotid gland, external carotid artery and its some branches. Now veins. See there we can see the formation of the retromandibular vein. See this image. This is a retromandibular vein. Correspond to this maxillary artery, here we are having the maxillary vein. Like that correspond to the superficial temporal artery, here we are having the superficial temporal vein. So this maxillary artery joins with the superficial temporal vein to form one vein. This is the retromandibular vein. Towards the apex of this gland, this superficial temporal, this retromandibular vein divides into one anterior division and a posterior division. So these veins are seen inside the parotid gland. So what are they? Superficial temporal vein, then maxillary vein. These two veins joins together to form the retromandibular vein. It's anterior division, posterior division. So retromandibular vein is there. How it is formed? It is formed by the union of two veins. One is superficial temporal vein and the other one is maxillary vein. Then this retromandibular vein later divides into anterior and posterior division. So these veins are also seen inside this parotid gland. Then I already told you one nerve is there, the deepest structure. Okay, this is the nerve. This is facial nerve. That facial nerve gives 5 terminal branches. What are the 5 terminal branches? Temporal branch, zygomatic branch, buccal branch, marginal mandibular branch. Then the last branch which is entering into the neck region, so it is one cervical branch. So towards the temporal bone, temporal branch. Towards the zygomatic bone, zygomatic branch. Then buccal branch towards the cheek. Then marginal mandibular. And the last one is a cervical. So inside the parotid gland, we can see this facial nerve and its 5 terminal branches. Facial nerve and 5 terminal branches. So mainly 3 structures are seen inside the parotid gland. One is external carotid artery and some branches. Then second one is the retromandibular vein, some tributaries. Then facial nerve and its terminal branches. Now another important point, parotid capsule. This gland which is covered with a fascia, investing layer of the deep cervical fascia. That fascia it is known as what? Parotid capsule. That's all about the parotid capsule. Now we have to discuss about the gland. It's clear. We have to go through the parotid duct. See here we saw the parotid duct. Okay, that parotid duct arises from the anterior border. From there it runs forward. Correct now? It runs anteriorly over a muscle. See this muscle it is known as masseter muscle. Okay, it is a biting muscle known as masseter muscle. So it runs forward over the masseter muscle. After the masseter muscle, it turns medially. Okay, it turns medially towards the oral cavity, and there it pierces some structure. What are the structures pierced by this parotid duct? Buccal part of fat. First, it pierces some fat known as the buccal part of fat. Then it pierces a sheet known as the buccopharyngeal fascia. Then lastly, it pierces a muscle known as the buccinator muscle. And after piercing all the structures, see it was here. After piercing all the structures, first it pierces the buccal part of fat, then buccopharyngeal fascia, and it pierces the buccinator muscle, and it opens into this space. It is seen between the cheek and the gum. This space it is known as vestibule. So it opens into the vestibule opposite to the upper second molar teeth. See, this is the opening of that duct. Okay, so this is what the details of the duct arising from the anterior border. Then it runs forward. Here it is related to upper buccal above and lower buccal below. Upper buccal narrow here above the parotid duct, and below the parotid duct we are having the lower buccal nerve. Anyway, here it runs forward over the masseter muscle. After that it runs medially and pierces these 3 structures, 3 B's. Correct now, buccal part of what? Buccopharyngeal fascia and the buccinator muscle. And after piercing all the structures, it opens into the vestibule. Vestibule means this space opposite to the upper second molar teeth. So parotid duct may be a 5-mark question. Then blood supply. It is supplied by, say here inside the parotid gland we are having the external carotid artery. So branches of this, some minor branches of the external carotid artery supplies to this parotid gland. Venous drainage into external jugular vein. Now supply, mainly the parasympathetic supply. Here we are discussing the parasympathetic supply. Parasympathetic supply means secretomotor supply. Okay, secretomotor means it gives motor impulse for secretion. So secretomotor supply, that is what the importance of this parasympathetic supply. Okay, see that impulse. See that impulse starts from here for the secretion. Okay, impulse starts from here. This nucleus, it is known as the inferior salivatory nucleus. From there, this impulse will enter into the glossopharyngeal nerve. This is what the glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal nerve, here it gives a branch known as the tympanic branch. This is a tympanic branch. See, this one is a tympanic branch. Okay, So impulse start from here in the inferior salivary nucleus. From there, this impulse will enter into the glossopharyngeal nerve. From the glossopharyngeal nerve, this impulse will enter into the tympanic branch. From the tympanic branch, it will enter into this plexus, known as the tympanic plexus. From this tympanic plexus, this impulse will enter into another branch. It is another nerve. It is known as a lesser petrosal nerve. See, this lesser petrosal nerve that joins with this auriculotemporal nerve. Okay. See here, this is a sorry. This is a see lesser petrosal nerve ends here in this here in a ganglia. It is known as what, the otic ganglia. Lesser petrosal nerve ends in a ganglia. It is known as a otic ganglia. There it gives this impulse to another neuron. See, this neuron ends here, this otic ganglia. So this impulse in this neuron will be transmitted to the next neuron. That is what the relay. So this otic ganglia, it is a relay station here. Okay, so from this, the second order or next neuron will enter into this auriculotemporal nerve. Along with the auriculotemporal nerve, that will reach the parotid gland. So this is how this impulse, secretomotor impulse, reaches the parotid gland. Now we'll see the chart. See, it starts from the inferior salivary nucleus. From the inferior salivary nucleus, it will reach the glossopharyngeal nerve, then tympanic branch. From the tympanic branch, it will enter into the tympanic plexus, then lesser petrosal nerve. Lesser petrosal nerve ends in a ganglia known as the otic ganglia. Then from the otic ganglia, it will enter into the auriculotemporal nerve. See the diagram once again. Inferior salivary nucleus, glossopharyngeal nerve, tympanic branch, tympanic plexus, lesser petrosal nerve, otic ganglia. There it gives impulse to next neuron. Means this otic ganglia acts as a relay station. And this neuron will enter into the auriculotemporal nerve. Along with the auriculotemporal nerve, it will reach the parotid gland. So that is what the now supply of this parotid gland. Now lymphatic drainage, it drains into parotid lymph nodes and upper deep cervical lymph nodes. Then the last one, clinical anatomy, mumps, that we know. Infection of this salivary gland, it is known as what? Mumps. Okay, the remaining details, some more details are there. The remaining details you have to read from your textbook.